Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Luis Fernandez. Heritage Square is a 10-acre former shopping center in Durham, located in the middle of the historic Hayti community. Sterling Bay, a real estate development group, purchased the site in the summer of 2022 with plans to develop it into an area for lab science spaces, offices, and residential units. But there's a lot in flux, including a pulled rezoning request and the feelings of the historic African-American community around it. WRAL News reporter Monica Casey joins us now, hoping to answer the question, what's next? Monica, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start with the most recent development. Sterling Bay pulled its rezoning request about a week ago. Why do that? Why did they need a rezoning request to begin with? And does that put the future of this project in jeopardy?
Yeah, to set this up, I think I would first say that this move by Sterling Bay to pull the rezoning request was shocking to everyone. City council members, people who were at the meeting to speak against the request. In fact, the woman who was representing Sterling Bay there in the room said she only got permission to withdraw the request hours before the meeting happened. So this was really a ninth inning situation. Now, they needed this rezoning because when they were doing some preliminary construction analysis, they realized that because of Durham's bedrock, they weren't going to be able to put as much parking underground as they wanted to for the buildings. And so this rezoning was all about letting them build these buildings taller than they would have been in the original plan. Now, during this meeting, the direct quote from the woman who was representing the developer was essentially that the writing was on the wall and 2 hours of public discourse was not going to change people's minds. And in that moment, she requested to withdraw the rezoning. Now, this project took a long time to even get to this point. Louis, you mentioned they bought this land back in 2022. Now, this went before Durham's Planning Commission back in April. That group unanimously recommended City Council not approve the rezoning. The decision ultimately rests with City Council, but the Planning Commission they are able to provide information that city councilors may not have right in front of them in terms of, does this development follow the ordinances and that kind of thing. That group is kind of a subject matter expert when it comes to these situations. So their recommendation means a lot. There's also been a huge push from the public against this development. 1,300 signatures on a change.org petition. So a lot of people strongly against this. And so the pulling of this rezoning request definitely puts the project as it was originally planned in jeopardy. But as we're going to talk about in a little bit, this actually doesn't mean the project is dead entirely. And that's because of the way that city ordinances around zoning are set up.
A lot to digest there. I want to take a second to talk about a big part of the story because it's not just the development, right? It's the location of the development in the historically black Hayti community in Durham. How has public opinion, Monica, towards this development changed over the years?
It has definitely shifted since the developer purchased the land. Now, the Hayti community has a rich history in Durham. It was a historically Black community that was absolutely decimated by the construction of the Durham freeway. Hundreds of businesses, thousands of homes were lost, and there is still a lot of hurt and pain in Durham around that. There is a section of the Hayti community that remains. And right now, at the same time that all of this is going on with Heritage Square and this development, the city of Durham is in the middle of a study called Reimagining the Durham Freeway, trying to find ways to make that road work for everyone in Durham. And that includes the possibility of caps on the freeway, making it more pedestrian accessible, because it also really cuts Hayti off from the rest of downtown Durham. Now, this development in particular, this shopping center, the residents in the area take issue with the developer saying the shopping center was long empty or vacant for a long time, because when it was purchased, Food World and a couple of other businesses, including Pelican Snowballs over on Fayetteville Street, were there. And I mean, driving down Fayetteville, you'd see a lot of people getting their snowballs there. So when this property was purchased, there was some concern, but the general consensus was a rising tide lifts all boats. People were not automatically against this development. And even now, they tell me they're not against development as a whole. They just believe this development does not serve the community where it would be. And so, as the project started to come to fruition, there were a lot of concerns about gentrification and a lack of affordable housing that's going to be provided in the development. People in that area say they're hoping for well paying jobs for people in their community, not necessarily other people coming in and getting those jobs instead. Now, there is also an historic church right next door to this 10-acre property, St. Mark AME Zion Church, and they have serious concerns about just the construction itself with the blasting that would need to happen. And they also have a lot of stormwater issues already at that church. So they're concerned about what this development might mean for their building and their congregation, which is about 250 to 300 people, according to their pastor. So it's a good number of people that go to that church.
Important context all around there, Monica. So, what is Sterling Bay saying about how the project would benefit this community?
I think that Sterling Bay's message here shows just how far apart these two sides are because they cite a lot of things that they believe would benefit the Hayti community. They had a few open houses. There was one back in March where they talked about having a 2,000 square foot conference center that community groups could reserve. They said they're going to have about 1,500 net new jobs on site across 1 million square feet of space there. They also said that they would have about 2,500 square feet reserved as affordable retail space that would be a 50% discount on rent compared to other parts of that property. And they also say they would include an acre that could be a pedestrian mall or public space open to everyone. Sterling Bay said that they planned to install some kind of memorial sign or art installation that would honor the Hayti community's history. So they list all of these things as examples of why they believe this development does serve the Hayti community. They also say that they would contribute to Hayti Promise and have scholarships to NC Central and Durham Tech. So they cite a lot of reasons why they think this would have been good for the area.
Let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, what the future could hold for Heritage Square. Welcome back to the WRAL Daily Download. We're talking with WRAL News reporter Monica Casey about the future of the Heritage Square development in Durham in the Hayti community. So, okay, Monica, before the break, we spoke about how both sides of this feel, about the possible hurdles that Sterling Bay's rezoning request is facing. So the big question I have for you, what comes next for this development and this community?
That is the $1 million question that everyone is focused on right now. The way that this rezoning or the lack of this rezoning happened is really important here. According to the city ordinances, if this had come before city council for a vote and city council had denied it, Sterling Bay could not resubmit this rezoning request for a full year. And that's a year of nothing happening on that property. However, because they withdrew this request before a city council vote, they are now allowed to come back in 6 months. And city council members still had to vote to even allow the withdrawal of this rezoning, and that was not a unanimous vote. It's worth noting here 6 months, if they do come back, that is after Durham will have had their local elections. And this is a hot button issue here in Durham. So community members are aware of all of that, these kind of loopholes that we see. in this ordinance. And so they are very curious to see what's going to happen here. Is Sterling Bay going to come back in 6 months with the exact same proposal? Are they going to take some of those concessions off the table if they do come back? There are a lot of questions here, but when I spoke with opponents of this project about their reaction to this rezoning being pulled, they say they are keeping the energy and the momentum that they have, and they say they're going to continue to fight this.
And what is the developer, Sterling Bay, saying about all of this?
They are being very tight-lipped about all this. I directly asked them, I said, are you bringing this back in 6 months? Are you going to try to sell the land? Because even 6 months from now, nothing can happen on that property unless they sell it quickly and someone else gets involved. But it's just sitting there vacant, a prime piece of real estate. Sterling Bay basically said nothing. They said they're working on their next steps and that they can't say anything else. And so, in the meantime, that 10-acre plot right next to the Durham freeway, within sight of downtown Durham and in the heart of the historic Hayti community, is going to sit vacant. The city actually has a code enforcement case on that property right now. That's not super unusual when you have a parcel of land that is maybe going to be developed or it's been sitting vacant for a while. And that case is specifically about the high grass and the weeds. Again, given the time of year, not super surprising, but that's another thing to watch. Is Sterling Bay going to take care of this property for the next 6 months or however long they hang on to it? And that's another thing that residents are concerned about. I mean, it's fenced off, it's overgrown right now. Luckily, we're not seeing much trash there, but that's another concern. So a lot of eyes are on this parcel.
And it sounds like that won't be changing anytime soon, Monica. That's WRAL news reporter Monica Casey. For more of her coverage on Durham, go to WRAL.com. I'm Luis Fernandez. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for listening to the WRAL Daily Download and for making us part of your morning routine. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. It's a daily email of Triangle news, events, and headlines to help you get ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.